I could see the obvious embarrassment and helplessness on his face. He even smiled at me as he left the office, but that smile wasn't much better than crying. Lian Qintao didn't discuss this matter with me. Perhaps in his mind, it was perfectly normal. That was the first time I started to think that maybe Lian Qintao wasn't the person I thought he was. However, people at the bottom of the valley still hold on to the remnants of hope. I always thought I and Lao Wang, in the eyes of Lian Qintao, is different after all. And that is what he personally promised. I earned just a commission, a small part of the profit. That sentence he often said rings in my ears again. Lao Zhang, you are my brother. It was at that time that I learned what Murphy's Law is. What is likely to happen, and what you least expect to happen, is often bound to happen. After doing a formal project, Lian Qintao asked me to go to the company to collect my commission. He was sitting behind his desk, on which were spread bundles of banknotes tied into 10,000. He said, "Old Zhang, here is 300,000 profit. This project is a favor from Ba's son. I'm going to give him 200,000 yuan. The remaining 100,000, according to our agreement, you take 5%. He counts out 5,000 from a bundle of 10,000 notes and throws the rest to me. Yours? Congratulations, Lao Zhang, he said. I was a little confused for a moment. So the 5% commission Lian Qintao promised me wasn't 5% of the contract amount. This profit he was talking about was the profit after removing the relationship commission. It turns out that the commission that Boss Son wants is actually so much. This product I found stayed up all night for a week to plan and operate. Profit margin of nearly 30% of the project. I can only get $5,000. I raised my eyes to old Wang standing in the corner, and his eyes seemed to carry a hint of ridicule. It was as if he was saying, "Old Jiang, how are you different from me?" I desperately tried to squeeze out a smile and said thank you to Mr. Lian on my lips, putting away the I couldn't think of any reason for me not to smile. But that day I finally realized that I was afraid that I had taken Lian Qintao's words, "Old Zhang, you are my brother," too seriously. Of course, finding out that I was being used, and by someone who treated me as a brother, wasn't enough to make me move to kill. I originally thought that I had just stepped on another mound of shit, and all I had to do was to find a piece of rough and flat concrete, wipe the soles of my shoes clean, and continue on my way. But how could it be that simple? 72 hours after Lian Qintao's death, I completed my wilderness survival in Laos and returned to Kunming. I spent almost a whole day editing the video of the first day of survival and the video from a year ago into the same film, repeatedly making sure there were no traces of cloning and uploading it to the channel. Within a minute of posting it, I received hundreds of comments. Most were asking how my finger was doing. I actually didn't end up looking for the severed finger. It was dark and hard to find. There was no point in finding it. It couldn't be frozen and preserved, and bringing it back would definitely necrose, making it impossible to reattach it. The important thing is that Lian Qintao is dead. I interacted with the fans for a few moments and then went to sleep. In my dream, Those grudges with Lian Qintao were again interpreted back and forth in my mind, seemingly false but still true. What really made me move towards Lian Qintao to kill him was what happened later. At that time, the success of several projects so that even Qin Tao tasted the sweetness of this model. By the understanding of the senior business people to open up the project. By him to get through the upper and lower relations and quickly earn the difference in price. Because of the hard relationship, the project has a veteran operator. The profit is quite lucrative, and the efficiency is extremely high. Who doesn't like more money? Relationships can be used once, can be used twice, can be used twice, can be used countless times. But Lian Qintao has a problem. He does not like to share money with others. Even those upper-level relationships he actually share out the money is very limited. And he doesn't like to operate long-term projects, only short-term ones that can generate profits in a month or two. There are a lot of people to find his cooperation. I was that time to know Z Lily. In fact, my first impression of Z Lily was not good. As soon as I entered Lian Qintao's office that day, I saw a young woman sitting on the sofa with a strong sense of young Hu. She was wearing heavy makeup and had a cigarette in her hand. Lian Qintao pointed to me and said, "This is our company in charge of business, Mr. Zhang," and pointed to Z Lily, said, "This is Mr. Z from Hangzhou." She stood up and shook my hand, trying her best to show that she was familiar with the world. But the way she smoked betrayed her. She struggled to hold the cigarette, took a sip close to her mouth, and spat it out. She didn't know how to smoke at all. In fact, she wasn't exactly familiar with the business. Hanging on to the title of vice president was the practice of most businessmen at that time, so as not to make the partner feel that the status was too low and had no decision-making power. In fact, the final decision depends on the price. Many manufacturers have already talked to the business representative of the base price. Above all is the salesman's commission. Z Lily's company is probably the same. Originally, Lian Qintao and Z Lily's willingness to cooperate was not strong. Firstly, the commission offered by Z Lily was not attractive enough. And secondly, the technical content of their products was not high, so the added value was also low. In other words, there was not much money to be made. But after Z Lily left that day, Lian Qintao asked me with a smile, "Lao Zhang, what do you think of this woman?" I didn't understand what he meant for a moment. I said that if the profit is considerable, of course we can cooperate. Lian Qintao said, "Shit, I'm asking you how her body is." I looked at Lian Qintao's face, distorted with laughter. I do not know how to answer, not to avoid some embarrassment. Lian Qintao is quite indulgent when it comes to men and women. Although he is married and has a wife who is more than 10 years younger than him, it doesn't prevent him from having sex outside. Lian Qintao often, and I mentioned the topic, one is his rich history of sex. According to him, all the women in the company, from the accountant to the cashier, and even the female shareholders, all with him. As for those women outside, they are as numerous as the river of Crucian carp. What do they like about him?